So, it's finally the start of a new year and you're finally ready to be a journaling girly. Maybe in the past you've made a few efforts to journal and reflect, but it was hard to remain consistent. I'm just too busy, you say. You ask yourself questions like, do I even have enough time in my day to journal? What tools do I need? Where do I even start? Maybe you don't know what to write, or maybe you don't actually like writing, and it's all totally understandable. That was also me for much of the previous year. I would pick up my journal sporadically and check in when I felt it was necessary or when I remembered, but other times life just kept getting in the way. I was either too tired at the end of a long day and just wanted to get some sleep, or there were no shortage of tasks that I could be doing, and those usually ended up taking precedent over my reflection and my journaling. And then I ended up realizing that I actually do want to prioritize journaling and my reflection time, and actually made it one of my goals for this year to make journaling a daily practice. And in this video, I want to share with you 5 things that I did to cultivate my journaling practice and how you can too. Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Amira, and on this channel, we talk about mindful productivity, wellness, and small actionable steps we can take to create more balance and find meaning on our current journeys. All right, so jumping straight into it, the first thing I did was reflect on my why. When setting my goals for 2024, I decided that cultivating and sustaining a journaling practice was important to me and that I really wanted to prioritize that for this year. In my previous video about my 2024 goal setting, I share that I break up my goals that require a bit more reflection into 3 distinct categories: purpose, outcome, and plan. Purpose is the reason that you're pursuing the goal, what you hope to gain from it. I said that I value being able to reflect on my most vulnerable thoughts, and that I really wanted to cultivate a daily journaling practice to serve as a reminder to go into each day with positivity and a hopeful outlook for the future. I break my outcome category into several different questions. First question is, what would success even look like? How would it feel for you? And I said that success in building my journaling practice looks like consistent journaling and evening reflections every day or most days of the week. The next thing I asked myself is, what habits would I need to develop to help me achieve this goal? And I said I would need to develop consistent morning and evening routines that included this practice, and then I would also need to parent myself better to have consistent wind down times. The next question to ask yourself is, what are the 3 things that would stop you from achieving this goal? This helps you have a little bit more foresight, and you can actually correct for those things before they even happen. My first thing was not having proper boundaries set with either work or other people in my life, just basically allowing other things to eat up the time that's sacred devoted to my journaling practice. The next thing is not creating a space in which I enjoy journaling in. So maybe I'm not setting the mood right, maybe my spaces aren't decluttered properly, maybe my digital spaces aren't that aesthetically appealing and require a little bit of a revamp before I can feel good about journaling. And my third big thing was not having clear wind down times and times where I would stop doing work that I could go and then devote to an evening reflection. And then the follow-up question to that is, how can I prevent these 3 things from happening? So I said that I would first reevaluate my work schedule and other responsibilities using tools like GCal or my weekly Notion planner to help me set those boundaries. And then I said that I would work with my partner, since we share the space, to be more consistent in our daily tidy-ups in the journaling environment of choice, which is often this couch in the living room. And then I would also revamp my digital journaling spaces so that's more appealing for me. Third thing was parenting myself and choosing the same wind down times weekday and weekend and sticking to those times. The last question is, who might help me in achieving this goal? Many times we as humans like to go it alone, but oftentimes you're able to achieve your goals faster with a little bit of extra help. So I said that my partner would be able to help me in this practice in terms of we share the space together. We can both work to make this space more inviting. And then I also said that other people or maybe clients affected by my work, I can kind of rearrange those meeting times and kind of work with them, kind of find that middle ground to determine whether this new proposed meeting time works for them as well. Lastly, the third category is the plan. Plan is basically actionable steps that you feel that you need to take in order to achieve your goal. If you watched my Notion yearly planning and goal setting video, you know that I have a whole system around this. In my quarterly breakdown, I basically break down my high-level goals into monthly action plans, and then I might even break those monthly action plans into smaller little granular tasks depending on the goal. My action plan for the month of January was actually just to use my ideal week builder to reevaluate my schedule, which I actually ended up doing, and we actually did it together in my recent weekly planning system video. And then for from there, I went ahead and carved out my morning and evening routine times and fit my journaling into those times. I also plan to make a more detailed video about how I'm using Notion to cultivate and sustain these new 2024 mindful rituals and routines, so stay tuned for that. All right, the next tip I have for cultivating a journaling practice is to be intentional about setting the mood and creating the space to journal. A couple things that might make you feel good about journaling and setting the mood for that might be making a warm drink, maybe a matcha or a coffee, maybe lighting a candle, maybe putting on your favorite, smooth jazz playlist, whatever makes you feel good. And then another thing I've done is actually reduce the resistance to actually start journaling. So at night, after my evening reflections, I'll literally leave out my iPad. I can't miss it, and I actually feel guilty about walking by the kitchen with the iPad staring me in the face, saying, "Come hither, come journal." So that's one thing I do to reduce that resistance for me. And creating the space doesn't have to be perfect or aesthetic all the time. For my busy weekly schedule, it usually means getting up a little sleepy, and after I brush my teeth, done my skincare, I'm just sitting down to jot some quick thoughts before I do a little move-it sesh and then get up and get ready for work. So it's whatever works for you, really, whether it's a longer reflection session or just 5 to 10 minutes, either is good. In fact, even just spending 5 minutes to open up your journal and jot down your few thoughts really helps you build that muscle, and then you can sustain that practice over time. And the next tip I have is to pick your best tool. So really it comes down to whether you're comfortable with using your technology to journal or whether you prefer writing on paper, or maybe both. I often envisioned a really aesthetically pleasing environment, a woman sitting down on her large windowsill staring out the window in her little silk pajamas with little feather trimmings, the ones, and writing her deepest, darkest thoughts in her diary. And I also used to think that if you're not actually physically writing something down on paper or in a book, that's not really journaling. Actually not the case, because if you think about it, are authors no longer authors if they're now using their laptops rather than pen and paper? No. So I quickly reasoned that out for myself, and now I've actually been using a combination of 2 methods that fall under the digital journaling category. I have a digital journal that I bought from the Homebody shop. I bought their journal last year and I liked the layout. Wasn't that consistent, but I bought the undated journal this year, where you can actually just physically write in the dates rather than having those preset dates, and I love it. I also developed a rituals and routines Notion hub that actually houses my morning gratitude journal and my evening reflections journal databases. In a given day, I'll usually do all 3. So first in the morning, I'll wake up and bust out my iPad with my keyboard. I'll go into my Life Dash where I have my journaling databases linked on that one page, and then I will click on the little template for a new journal entry, and then I have all those pre-populated prompts that I answer for myself. Usually because I have the time, I'll take it a step further and use my digital journal with some prompts either that I've created for myself or that I've gotten from other sources to just do a deeper reflection for the day, or sometimes I'll save that deeper reflection for the evening time. What I like about the Vision OS journal is that you can do small little blurbs or check-ins on the calendar page if you don't have much to say but still want to put some intention into your journaling practice, or you can just go ahead and click on the little pencil for a more deeper dive into that topic if you have more to say. And then in the evening, I'll go into that same Life Dash where my evening journaling reflections are housed, and I'll just jot down my little thoughts for the day, do a little check-in, and then continue with the rest of my wind down. I like having all of these different options for myself because sometimes I'm in the mood for a deep reflection, a deeper dive. I have some things on my heart that I want to kind of think through for myself, but sometimes I find that I'm just in the mood to do a little quick check-in, and that just typing things out is easier for me. A lower barrier to entry, if you will. And the next step I have is having ready-made prompts or questions for those days where you don't think that you have anything to say, because you actually might. I have my favorite prompts for different categories stored in my Notion. Some of my favorites include: what are some limiting beliefs I currently have that my higher self does not? What boundaries does my higher self have? How would they enforce these boundaries? What brings me joy? What are my non-negotiable rituals that I must complete during my sacred times? And why? Do I like how I show up in my interpersonal relationships, whether friendships, familial, romantic, etc.? If not, what do I want to change and why? What are my needs and my boundaries in my relationships? How can I enforce and communicate them? I find that these types of journaling prompts are useful because I'm always growing, right? Some of my perspectives on these topics might change over time, so it's good to revisit them often. And then my last lovely tip is to just have fun and try to release any preconceived notions that you have about what your journaling should look like. We often have these preconceived notions about what our practice should embody based on what we've been seeing on social media. This is a personal journey. It looks different from all of us, and we can all benefit from some deeper reflection, whether it's taking a few minutes to jot down how you're feeling for the day, or whether your soul is in need of a deeper reflection. And that, my friends, is it. I sincerely hope that you got at least a little something from some of these tips that I offered. I'll go ahead and share with you the tools that I use to help me journal down below in the description. I'll be linking the exact journals that I use and some of the other videos that I mentioned in this video, so check for that. And I'm actually very curious to know what you've been using to help you sustain your journaling practice. So drop a comment down below with some of your favorite tools and I'll check them out. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to stay mindful. Bye.